The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi everybody, welcome to the weekly Noyantis Usergroup meeting. Today is the 8th of October 2018. Myself and John are here. As always, if you have any questions or ideas or problems, feel free to open the raise your hand. We'll get the mics open and we'll take a look at them. There's not been any updates this last week, or not been any updates released, I should say. As always, there's work going on, as you can imagine. The two main areas this week are continued development on the Chillcat wrapper for the accounts integration, mainly QuickBooks and Zero Accounting. And the other is to do with the report control. It's twofold, actually. One is loading of data into the report control, trying to get it so that the actual report control can have its data source bound to in a more meaningful way. So not just the browse enhancer that you've got now, or a manually loaded report control as you've got now, but more the TPS table and a SQL database and that type of thing. So there's work going on that. And I know one of the questions we had a couple of weeks ago, actually, from one of the attendees here now, Jesper, was regarding using the predefined group to load data into a report control in a very fast and efficient manner, which is the best way to do it if you're going to manually load the report control. But the report control's shape has changed due to the save and restore. And I know that's already raised its head. And in some of the tests I've been doing, playing about with, loading the data in a different manner and so on and so forth with this table source and database source, that is also catching me out there as well. So that is in progress. So that is not, it's been identified as a particular bug, if you will, in the current setup, and it's going to bite us in the next one. So that will be addressed in the next build. Not sure what the answer is yet, of course, famous last words, but it will be addressed. So let's have a quick look. That's it for what we're up to and so on. Any questions? Oh, actually, I mean, there's only a couple of people here, but obviously, John, I know you mentioned possibility, hopefully, of the DevCon later in September, I believe, isn't it, this year, 23rd, something like that?
Yes, indeed.
So, but prior to that, not this year, sorry, next year, I should say. Prior to that, we are actually thinking of holding I don't know if you call it a user group meeting, or if we still have those nowadays, as in physical ones, but a training event over in Europe, possibly an Australia one actually as well. The plans are afoot for that. So we're going to be sending some queries out. I'll probably speak to yourself and Arnold regarding maybe doing some kind of link up with Clarion Live. It won't be around the same time, it'll be well in advance of it. I'm talking Marchish time, March, April time, and so on. But we are thinking of doing something only because there's only a certain number of Europeans go over to the States, and again with the Australians. But looking at our customer base, we've got quite a foothold in both, and South Africa, which obviously if they're not travelling over to the US, they're kind of missing out, in my opinion. So I was thinking if they're not going to come to us, we'll go to them, so to speak.
Cool.
So that's an idea which is being bounced around. Just one second. I think I've just got an Amazon delivery, and Wendy's just left the office, so it's typical. Won't be a sec.
Okay.
Oh, sorry about that, everybody. That wasn't the best. So yes, so there is a potential, hopefully in early 19, to have a European training event and possibly an Australian one. Well, as soon as we know, we'll keep you up to date and see. Watch out for questionnaires coming in your inbox to see if and John, as I say, probably have a chat with you guys to see if we can link it up with some kind of Clarion Live broadcast and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So okay. So no questions. So do we end the webinar or should we have a quick go at the multi-DLO?
What do you think?
I think we already know the answer to that one.
That's right.
Now let's open up last week's. Should be in here somewhere from last week. What the calendar was playing about with after all, was it not?
Yeah.
Right. Now this hasn't been touched. I did plan on putting some time to it. Ignore that. That's a completely different template. I did plan on getting some time to it today prior to the webinar, but today has not progressed out as I first planned. So for anybody who wasn't here last week, we had a longish webinar, and the idea was so we can create a new CodeJock resource template. The idea being that you would put your settings. When I say settings, we mean the CodeJock version. I use in Unicode, what particular language resource. So you can see here we've set it to use the Unicode version with a Chinese character set, that type of thing. But basically, these types of settings with your register settings and so on, and your licenses. That's a pretty good version, a pretty good point to raise, that you will be able to put your licenses and your CodeJock version all in just one template in a multi-DLL setup, and that's really it. Of course, you will still carry on adding the individual CodeJock extensions where needed. So, for example, the calendar where the calendar is needed, the command bars where the command bars is needed, and so on and so forth. But you would basically only have to put the licensing in the CodeJock version into one place, and the others would be set to read the information from the from here. So that's the intention that we're going in. I think we got to a point where some of the values are coming across, and some, like for the debug, the performance. I think that's really it. It's those three, the debug settings, possibly the license, is where we roughly got to last week. Is that correct? Shall we take a look?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, let's open up fresh text pad. I'll do, and we'll open up those versions of the templates. Unfortunately, we can only go. We have to cut it to a maximum of 1 hour today because I've got an appointment, which is encroached on half an hour of this time. So apologies for that. Just couldn't be helped. So these are the changes to the calendar from memory. So there will be a slight. Let me close that. There will be a slight change to the other templates. For example, you can see here that the calendar, we introduced a new tab which said basically start taking your settings off a CJ, the CodeJock resource template. So the look and feel of these tabs are by no means complete. It was all concept last week and so on. So they will be polished up before they hit the street, so to speak. Okay, so we've got that open. Let's open our new resource one as well. So I think the point where we got to was it was in here, and we had prompted for quite a few things, and it was the point where we were setting to start exporting these particular values. So we got hotfix. I think the first thing I would now probably think we need to do is ensure that we've got all of the settings that we want to be able to be picked up from the CJ resource template and make them available in the other templates, say for example the calendar. And of course any changes we're doing to the calendar here we will automatically have to do not via the webinars, don't worry, that'd be just bore you senseless, but we'll do it we'll do it in-house ready for release, but it will be done to all of the other products. So the property grid, the command bars, the task panel, the report control, so on and so forth, so that they all become compatible with the CodeJot resource. Okay, if we quickly look then, let's put that as one point, take that as the other point. We've got the CodeJot version, which I'm sure we now do export out. OCX version, yep. We have hotfix, Unicode, and x64. Actually, there was another one. Okay, I was thinking we've got a version number if you use the specify option. Still going to have to support that, but of course, anybody who's using the specify would know that you wouldn't be able to use that with the reg3com generation, because you're specifying like an interim build, so it wouldn't be able to generate the required reg3com settings for that, because it just wouldn't know what they were. So we'll focus on the main ones for now. So we do need that version number. Let's just check that comes across. That's interesting. Okay, hotfix, Unicode, and x64. So we've got hotfix. I'm going to put them in the order that we're prompting for them. Hotfix, Unicode, and x64. TPL version is automatically calculated, so you don't have to worry about that. And I think we're going to do the same down here to make sure that we've got them set to if they are multi-DLL. So TPL, OCX, hotfix, Unicode, x64. Maybe we got a bit further on than I remember actually. While we're doing this, by the way, anybody any questions or anything or ideas and so on, and just shout up. I know, John, you will, won't you?
I will.
So yeah, so Unicode, that's good. Theme settings, you can see I've explicitly put a where on there for now, and that's because, again, for anybody just watching this and you've missed last week's, we're going to run into issues. It's something I definitely want to support. So you can just go to the resource template and say, I want to use Office 2016 Word Grey, and the whole application changes accordingly. But there are certain issues we've got with that. Some of the themes, the external themes, are compatible with all of the products. I've ensured of that. Even where some of them might not be, I've done a workaround in the calculations already to ensure that they are. So the equates that you've got actually do a bit of magic, so to speak, to ensure that they are compatible. So you can use the same one in all of the products. But the built-in themes, that isn't the case. The calendar built-in themes is a lot smaller than the task panel and the property grid built-in themes. So we're going to have to try and come up with a mechanism where we can do the theme support. That was one issue. The other issue was some of the actual values are used in template code and they wouldn't be available after these changes have been done. So I need to rework that code a little in the class. Perfectly doable. I had to think about it. It's perfectly doable. It's just a matter of getting my hands dirty and doing it. Do without making sure that we don't break anything, both backwards compatible as well. For the theme selection, I'd appreciate your feedback on this. We have lots of built-in themes, like I say, the CodeJot built-in themes. They are predominantly different. Let's just go with the assumption that they are different per product. It's not quite the case, but they near as much are. All the external themes are the same for each of the products. So what I was thinking from the resource point of view is it will support themes, but it will only support the themes that are external. So these are the Office 2007, 2010, 13, 16, Visual Studio 2012, Visual Studio 2015, and Windows 7. So it's those themes. Of course, each one of them has a whole subset of sub-themes in it as well. But it's those ones which I was actually... Oh, sorry, and if you're using your skin, of course, yes. So I was thinking of it's those. In fact, looking at those options there, that's kind of the thing, we've mentioned in the past. That we seem to only be doing the actual official external themes, and the internals wouldn't be supported. We're not going to go for that in this first release, but what do you think of that as a stance for going forward from the resource point of view? So what I mean is, you're on here. So you're actually on the resource one. You come to the themes, and only the Office ones, the external ones, so the 7, the 10, the 13, the 16, the Visual Studio 12, 15, Windows 7, and Skin would be supported as a one setting for all of the templates.
I suppose. Although remember, I had that problem that I had to use an internal because it kept. What was it? It wouldn't quit or something. Remember, we had a whole session.
We did, yeah. No, I do remember.
I was trying to figure out that theme thing. Yeah, and it turned out I had to use the internal theme in order to make it.
You'd still be able to use the internal. Yeah, you'd still be able to use the internal theme, but what you wouldn't be able to do is, you'd have to go to the particular place and you specify it as an exception, so to speak.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fine.
So I'm thinking.
I think that's fine then.
Yeah, so along the lines of in here, because it would have to be, at the CJ, use CJ resource and use CJ resource, some kind of, maybe on the theme, use a theme from that, which would then disable obviously lots of this. And if it was a no, then just leave the theme setting only in here.
Right. Okay.
That makes sense.
I think that's fine then.
So
it does.
We would have, only because, we could do that down to the version number as well, but I'm not doing that. I know one particular user who does, it'd be Dave Batovich. He does like to use different CodeJot versions. But Andon Hart, he's about the only person I can think of who does use different CodeJot versions. And the reason for that is he uses the latest, obviously, for all of the products except the charting, and he still likes to use the old version 13 charting for the 3D charts. So that's where, but for that, he would have to not use the resourcing. So he'd still be able to accomplish exactly what he's after, but when it came to the charting, not have it use the CJ resource template and just go and specify them manually himself. So the last thing I want to do is restrict anybody from being able to do some things. It's just we want to try and make it easier, of course. That's the whole point.
Right. Yeah, no, this makes good sense.
So, okay. So we'll skip the themes just for now for our point today. We'll jump down to register. So here we have the register control, and we need to, I suppose our first point would be to look at that particular setting. Where's it used? So let's take a look within the template here of where reg control is used. Obviously it's used in the template itself. It's used for the generation of the manifest for the reg3com. And that's it. Is it loaded into the class? And it is. Okay. That's no problem. Okay, that's no problem. because what we can then do, so those who are trying to follow what we're doing, we've got here a template prompt, template variable, if you will. Here it is. We want to get rid of having that at a local mode, and we want to replace it with this, the resource one. So there's it being defined, so being defined and used, set, so to speak, and being checked to control what you prompted for within the template. All very good. And then we've got the reg3com setting. So from the template, the TPL template bit, I think we've got that bit covered. Because if we look at reg control here, we do exactly the same. We prompt, we display under condition. So we do the exact same steps at the resource template point of view. And I think, oh, we've commented it. I think we said we were going to have to come back to that, didn't we? Okay. Looks like we will have to come back to that there. But we also use it. Now here's the thing, we also use it in some other parts of the template. We can see here where it comes to the reg control, we are saying whether to go off and basically do not register, attempt to register the control, have Windows register the control, or use reg3com. We're not going to have this NYS003, we're not going to have that available to the template because it won't be available. You could have a multi-DLL setup, you've got the reg3com settings and so on set at the exe. The calendar happens to be used, so you've got data, the main menu, the data app, the main menu app, and you've got two procedures applications, if you will. The calendar might be used in one of those procedures applications, but of course, from the template point of view, it won't be set. It'll be set over in the exe. So we need a mechanism to be able to transfer that's usage. What I suggest we do there is we can see here where we've got control license and Unicode, we put them into class variables. So I'm going to do the same with the reg control. So I will quickly open our class, the base class NYS common, which everything is derived from. So let's just take a quick look in here to see if I've already got anything like that. I don't think I have, so I will introduce it. Okay, NYS common. So this is the base class which all of our classes are based upon. So we can see when it comes to, is there anything to do with register? No, region. We do have a reg control and a reg error. That looks good. That's interesting. So we do have reg control and reg error, but it looks like they're not being used. Just do a quick search, make sure that is the case for all our other things. Let me just go back to that. Oh, sorry, they're set there. Absolutely crazy. Yes, they are set there. Okie dokie. Sorry if I keep pausing. I did this lots last week. It was just while I think through the actual particular changes and make sure we don't break anything, as we say. There's a path. Yep. Of course, they are all the measure settings. That's no problem. Yep, we can just take these. Okay. What we'll do on our resource template is we need those particular variables. When I say those variables, what I mean by that is we jump down, and these what we're creating here are actual global variables, which will be available. Obviously, they'll be set. They'll be defined in the data, exported. They'll be set in the exe via the resource template. And then really they won't be used anywhere until the particular products need them. So for example, the calendar, when it comes to needing them, we'll change this code in a second to use the NYS 010, and we should already have an example of that somewhere else. So let's just bookmark that and do an NYS 010. Did we not do changes to the calendar last week? Sorry, not that one. Sorry about this. John, can you remember? I'm sure we did changes to the actual calendar template last week.
We did some testing on it, yeah. Right?
Yeah, and we told it to, so the hotfix there, instead of setting 030, I thought it was set to use, that hasn't been overwritten. Before we do any, I've just rearranged them. Before we do that, let's just quickly check last week's compilation and that the about what we did. Just make sure we haven't lost that particular change. Now, from the tests I think we did last week, one was setting code to use one particular version with Unicode and so on, and one was set the language to a different code version and a different language, and so we could quickly see which ones we were using. So the calendar is set to use the code resource. If it wasn't, we'd be using 18.3 English, and if it was, which is ticked, we'll be using 18.5 Chinese. So if we go to our calendar, we are using Chinese, and we're using 18.5. And unticking that should put it back to 18.3 English. Yeah, okay. So it works. I just can't remember how we got it to work. Oh, was it not in here? No. I'm having a complete mental block. Maybe I should have watched last week's prior to coming to this. NYS 010. Ah, it was in here, where it's getting its own global data. That's right. Sorry about that, everybody. Of course, you was all up to date and you were all watching and found the issue just as fast as I did, of course. So, but yes, basically, our CodeJot template, the new one, sorry, the resource template, is defining them all as 10, which is the internal product code for the Suite Pro. Internal product code for the calendar is 003, NYS 003. So what we're doing here is we're saying if we're using that control, go and pick up the settings from one or the other, and then it can carry on using its own internals. So that was how we did it last week. Okay. Go and put these in the same order so we can at least follow these. So OCX, hotfix Unicode. OCX, hotfix Unicode and x64. Just while we do all these, there's going to be quite a few that we're going to have to keep jumping back and forth on. Okay, that's that. Come back to here. I think the point we was at was, sorry, not that one, wrong one. We got that. We was up to the register, so we want the register control and the extra prompts from that, which are going to be register control, file location, variable. There's going to be quite a few. Basically, what we are essentially doing here is we're taking all our template prompts, because we want them to be available from application, the whole solution wide in a multi-DLL. We have no choice but to take them from template prompts, put the values in a global variable, and then make them global variables. Obviously, use those global variables, I should say, in the other template instances, but not at the template level, just at the generated code level of that template, if that makes sense. It's taking more time to explain, actually. Okay, so just have another notepad over here where I can just, actually I'll do it on here so we can see what we're doing for the purpose of the recording. I'm going to need that. Control. I'm going to need that. File location. Going to need one of those. Going to need the error message that you display, along with the title and the message itself. Okay, so they're the template prompts, which we're going to prompt for, and those same template prompts are on the calendar and all of the other products as well, obviously localized to each product. We're now going to take those and we're going to create global variables of them. So I'm actually going to put these in bands for easy reading afterwards, for when I come back to them and wonder what I'm doing. So with cheat, create a quick keyboard macro, copy that, paste it there, give us a few spaces, C string, open that, keep that, close that, and then put on our other variable at the end. Okay, finish that macro. Makes it a little easier for typing. So that's one set. Hope we can see. We're also going to need that in the, happy with that. Jump to our template now, the one in question, which is going to be the CodeJot calendar. It's just, you can see how it starts getting a bit messy, so I'm just going to tidy some of this up. And yeah, okay, that'll be fine. Thinking of the fastest way of doing this. So you can see here that we're saying we are using the resource and it's picking up the NYS 0010 setting for that. Failing that, we're going to have the same where we're not using it, but this time we'll have it using its own one, which of course has been prompted for locally on the template, as you've got now. Okay, they're the new variables, and then what we'll now do is we'll have a look at where they are used. Normally it'd be a %, which is the template variable. Normally it'd be that. We'll have a look at where they are used now within the local template. To get the manifest generation, nothing there, but in here, this is where you'll see that they are starting to be used. So now we can replace that code with a straightforward that equals that variable. We don't need that anymore. We can just go with straight that. Do you know what? No, we can't. Zero, 1, and 2. Better check the equates are still backwards compatible. Yeah, they're fine. So yes, we can now get rid of that and just use that one-off variable. And the same with the errors. So we'll just take a look at anywhere which is using reg. Yep. That can now use that variable. Oh, okay. Need to rework that code a little. So that will now become generated code. So that wants to be case, that variable, generate code of 1 becomes that. Sorry, or 0, that, and that. So now basically the what was generated template code, template code now becomes generated code using its own variables. Any questions on what we've just done there? Is anybody still awake?
I'm still awake.
Oh, we've got some testing to do on this when this is done. Okay, so that enables us there to obviously get rid of that, get rid of the generated case statement, and both of those I just make this a little more easier. It's easier to read. Generated code when you see it is fine, but just for this, that would become the clip of that. So you see what we're doing here. This is taking a template variable. So it would create a string of the of a template variable. Now it's a global variable. I'm just going to basically make it clip that variable. And the only reason they're global at that point is it's just global for the application. I need to get them into the class. So that's what it's doing there. In fact, just for simplicity, I might as well just put those there as well. Okay, and the same set of changes. We'll just pinch that. It's crazy, but I'm going to have to do it so it's alphabetical that way. After the drag and drop is going to be needed in this template, I do believe. Reg control, reg path, reg title. And I don't think it's in there. And I don't think it's in there. Should we take a quick look at what we've just done there, at least make sure it still works. Again, ignore that. That's just something I was working on earlier. I'm just so we can see the generated code. Just like we changed the Clarion version as a test. In the calendar, I'm going to say do not register. No, we'll have it register within Windows, which is value 1. We're going to say use a variable. We're just going to make it up. NYS var with an error message. Okay, crikey. This is a Clarion bug. You can use global variables, but you can't look them up at a global template point of view, which is a bit wrong. Yep, it's going to not let us do that. Just let me find a global variable. Glow active X path. Okay, that'll do. So from a register point of view, from the calendar, we're going to say yes, register within Windows. It's stored in a variable. It's glow ActiveX path. What it is there? Oh,
there you go. What?
GLO ActiveX path. It's there. I'm looking at it.
I don't know.
Okay, we'll do the location one. Crazy. Clarion TPL as its location. Okay, and on here we'll just put Clarion TPL, Clarion TPL, so we can see what we're doing there. And on the CJ resource, we will use. I'm actually going to do the same, but I'm going to say CJ TPL location, CJ TPL, CJ TPL. What I want to see here now is the generated code. So we have set it to not use the code jock. If I look at the calendar, I think it doesn't really matter. We'll stick with a simple one. Let's have a look at that generated code, and it was in the init prepare. So we have a look for init prepare. It's generated the registration. Of course, it's just going to use those variables, isn't it? It's generated the code exactly as we wanted. That's fine. Yes, it's done that. The only real thing I suppose we should nearly message out here is message these out. Message. Yeah. Sorry about that. Okay. We'll have a quick look at what comes out. Oh well. Well, actually, it's not an end case thinking about it from a generation point of view, so we can quickly sort that one out. And of course, it's not template like that, it's of.
This is always the fun part.
And I've got to do this 13 more times yet.
Oh no. Well, it should get easier after the 10th time, I would think.
Oh, very good. What have we missed? Okay, so it looks like we just blatantly missed a variable. Did I miss location? Just called it the full location. What was the original code then? Well, it's definitely that file lock. Regfar or regfile lock, and they would be the template prompts. There's no such thing as location, so I think it was just me typing that in wrong, so sorry about that. Yeah, when I come to do the others, I don't know how you guys do it when you've got something to do, numerous times over. But yes, basically what it'll be is I'll highlight each particular section in one, put them off into a notepad, and then I'll open each product, if you will, ticking off the steps I've got to do in each one, so like in blocks, if you will. Okay, Clarion TPL, Clarion TPL. Happy with that. And we then say to the calendar, we are using the Kojok. So just quickly rerun that without a compile, and you can see those are Clarion and Clarion, or CLA. we now compile and run, and we want it to be, we want it to be in Chinese, but we also want it to say CJ, TPL, and the title and error message. CJ. Yep, with Chinese. Okay. Any questions where we're up to so far? Because we've got 5 minutes left.
Making progress, that's what I like to see.
It is. We're at the register, so we've gone past register. Licenses, I suppose. Well, there's an obvious thing. We need the setting of. Now, what can we get off that? That's fine. Well, we need variables for all of these. Why have I just called it use? Why haven't I called it license? That's not like me. I don't like those prompts. Okay, so that would be license use. Oh, that's saying if you are using that control. Sorry, no. That's right, because we've got it just on the licensing. No, that is saying is a control in use. Sorry, that's okay. I remember its use now. So is it in use and it's license code? That's fine. And if you're wondering what the number is, it's, as I say, it's 010 for, so all the template prompts in this is a bit of a convention, did straight from day one. So all of the template prompts in here won't clash with other third-party template prompts. Cape sauce, mitten, so on and so forth. So it's just a nice, easy way that we don't clash and so on. And then after that, the 003 happens to be our internal product code, and it's in use. So 003 is calendar, 12 is the chart pro, 2 is command bar, so on and so forth. So we'll need, just as you saw a minute ago, we will need the variables for all of those. So in fact, I'm not going to type all that. Let's have another macro. Any of you guys use any macros in your editors?
I don't.
Oh, I couldn't live without them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but even back to the days of a D-based programmer using debrief, if anyone remembers that. I couldn't live without macros. So we've just done our reg. We'll have a new set in here.
You got a minute and a half.
Oh wow, okay, yes. Wow. Then very quickly, let's just add it. We'll won't bother about the others. So yes, not bother with that macro now. What we normally do is save them, but I want that there. Take it across to somewhere for me. Add C string that add that NYS 010 data external. Go to the start, move down, finish the macro.
Peter says, seems like most modern editors don't do macros as smoothly as the old editors did.
Ish. of course, you think back, and I remember debrief, and I've a bit of a fired it up now, which I still have actually, along with Norton Guides for Clipper Summer '87, showing my age now. The macro editor in TextPad, I have got to admit, I do like TextPad, and the macro editor is pretty good, I have to admit. Okay, they are ready to go. We're on 5 o'clock, and I do have to cut and run, so to speak. But we're positioning now. What we'll start doing, start of next week, is take the license code and make sure I'll play the end of this before next week to remind us exactly where we're up to. And we'll take basically the license code. I bet we're not a million miles off on the other stuff now. We've got the performance things. We've already got the variables for these. So we are not a million miles off being in a position where the CodeJock, the calendar and the CodeJock resource will actually be ready to go. I think the only one stumbling block which we'll have to do will be making sure they've got the reg-free com. But who knows, during next week, so I think we could be at a position where maybe by the end of it, if we've got no other questions, of course, questions always count, but we could be in a position where we're at the point where we can create a very small multi-DLL application and see some of this in action. So if not by the end of next week, definitely the start of the week after, but we'll have an hour and a half next week. I can't see why we can't go for it.
Cool.
Let's save that. And as I say, we'll have to wrap it up. Apologies. Normal service will be resumed next week. So until let's just make sure this compiles. Ignore that. That won't be there next week. So yes, and in case the training and the get together, let's call it. It's not going to be a user group. It's going to be a get together. Questionnaires will go out this week. Oh crikey, I've broke something. Right. Keep that for the morning.
Figure it out later.
Yep. Okay. Until next week. Thank you, everybody, and I shall see you then.
Thanks, Andy.
John, just a quick one. I might, I'd say, quickly get in touch with you and Arnold, just to have a chat about the thing. If you wanted to, do some kind of, I don't know, something, link it up together. But I won't know until we know what's going ahead. So on.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay. Right. Bye, guys. See you later.
Bye.